Hi guys, good morning once again. We have discussed about capillary rise, capillary fall, acute angle of contact, obtuse angle of contact, wetting liquid, non-wetting liquid, and capillary action due to insufficient height of the capillary tube in detail. Okay, today let us solve some important problems based on surface tension. Let us see one simple problem. What is the energy stored in a soap bubble of diameter 4 cm? There is a soap bubble being formed whose diameter is 4 cm. What is the energy stored in this soap bubble of diameter 4 cm? Remember, soap bubble has two interfaces. This is the liquid surface surrounded by air, right? So, liquid air interface, the spherical liquid air interface exposed outside, and another one spherical liquid air interface facing inwards, which is concave. Outside it is convex, inside it is concave. So here inside also there is air liquid interface, liquid air interface. So soap bubble has two faces. Soap bubble has two liquid air interfaces. Two liquid air interfaces. So it requires more energy to form a soap bubble. Little more effort has to be done in order to form a soap bubble. This is what we discussed during theory classes. Okay. Now, question is to calculate the energy stored. So first, what is the radius? We know the surface area. Surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r square. So where r is the radius of the sphere. Now, diameter of the bubble is equal to 4 cm. Therefore, radius r is equal to diameter by 2. So it becomes 4 by 2. That is 2 cm. Which can be written as 2 into 10 to the power of -2 meter. Now surface tension of this liquid is given. Surface tension is equal to S. We have written it as S. SLA, for example, or just write it as S. S is equal to 0.07 Newton per meter. In some textbook or in some reference books, they have taken it as capital T. So don't get confused. Surface tension in the textbook he has taken it as S. So surface tension is nothing but surface energy per unit area. So how much energy is required to form a soap bubble of this much area? If you calculate, that itself gives you energy stored in the formation of soap bubble. So I will calculate work done in forming soap bubble is equal to work done in forming soap bubble is calculated as surface energy per unit area. Surface tension is nothing but surface energy per unit area into area. Here it has got two liquid air interfaces. So 2 liquid air interfaces. So I will write it as 2 times surface area. Area I have written as A, where A is surface area. Surface area is given by 4 pi r square, where r is the radius, 4 pi r square. So now we can substitute. Therefore, 0.07, that is given here, 0.07 into 2 times area 4 pi into r square. R is 2 into 10 to the power of minus 2 square. Now you calculate. Pi can be written as 22 by 7. So this becomes 0.07 into 2 into 4 into 22 by 7 into 2 2s of 4. 4 into 10 to the power of minus 4. 10 to the power of minus 4. So 7 ones are 7.01. So it becomes now simple. 4 4s are 16. 16 2s are 32. Right? 4 4s are 16. 16 2s are 32. 32 into 0.01 becomes 0.32 into 22. So that becomes the result. So much of use. So just get the result. So I have multiplied 4 4s are 16, 16 2s are 32. 0.32 into 0.01 becomes 0.32, 0.32 into 22. Otherwise, you can also calculate 4 4s are 16, 16 into 22. So that gives us the result. So result, if you calculate 22 2s are 44, carry 4. 22 3s are 66. 66 plus 4, 70. So it becomes, leaving 3 decimals, it becomes 7.04 into 10 to the power of minus 4 joules. This is the result. So this much amount of work done in formation of a soap bubble is stored in the soap bubble. This is the energy stored in the soap bubble. So remember here, for soap bubble it will have two interfaces. That you should remember. If it is liquid drop, if it is a liquid drop, the liquid drop has only one interface. If it is a liquid drop like water drop or mercury drop or any other oil drop, it will have only one interface. In that case, it becomes S into A itself. S into A itself. Since it is a soap bubble, right? Then or any liquid bubble in air, then it will have a soap bubble or water bubble or any other liquid bubble in air, then it will have two interfaces. This you should remember. That's how you will be able to calculate. Now let us solve one more problem. Now let us see one more simple problem. It's very interesting and such problems are repeatedly asked in the examinations. Find the work done in breaking a water drop of radius 1 millimeter into 1000 drops. Given the surface tension of water is 72 into 10 to the power of minus 3 Newton per meter. There is a water drop. Let us say this is a large water drop of 1 millimeter radius. This is broken into 1000 tiny drops of identical size. 1000 tiny drops. Just I am drawing for your understanding. So like this, there are 1000 tiny drops, each of radius, let us say small r. Let the radius of given large drop of water V R, this is given 1 millimeter, that is equal to 10 raised to minus 3 meter. So this is broken into tiny drops of identical size tiny drops of identical size, 1000 in number. These are 1000 in number. Then radius of each tiny drop, let us say radius of each tiny drop B r, small r is equal to, I am taking this tiny drop radius as small r. This small r is equal to how much? First we have to find out. So here the question is to calculate the work done in the breaking the one large water drop into the formation of 1000 tiny drops of each 1000 tiny drops of identical sizes. Work has to be done. How much is the work required? Okay. So when a large drop is broken into 1000 tiny drops, volume of water is not lost. The same volume of 1 millimeter radius drop is broken into 1000 tiny drops. So volume of water is not lost. Right? So volume of one large sized drop is equal to volume of 1000 tiny drops. When large drop of radius r is broken into 1000 identical droplets, the volume remains same. So using this condition I can calculate what is the value of r. So volume of large drop is equal to volume of 1000 tiny drops. This you should remember. 1000 tiny drops. Now I can calculate. Volume of large drop can be written as 4 by 3 by r cube because it is spherical. 4 by 3 by r cube. This is equal to volume of 1000 tiny drops. This is also 1000 times volume of each tiny drop. 4 by 3 by small r cube. That's it. So this becomes the equation now. So 4 by 3 pi cancels. Therefore, r cube is equal to 1000 small r cube. Taking cube root on both sides. Taking cube root on both sides, we get r is equal to cube root of r cube is r, cube root of 1000 is 10, and cube root of r cube is small r. That's it. Usually in such problem, this will be a perfect cube. Remember, a drop of certain radius is broken into 8 drops, so that cube root of 8 is 2. A drop of 2 meter is broken into 64 drops, so that cube root of 64 is 4. Or it will be broken into 27 drops, so that cube root of 27 is 3. So remember this. So radius of large drop is equal to 10 times radius of each tiny drop. 10 times the radius of each tiny drop. Therefore, small r is therefore equal to r by 10. Small r is equal to r by 10. That's what we wanted. So small r is therefore 1 millimeter divided by 10. 1/10 of a millimeter. So that becomes 10 raised to minus 3 divided by 10. That is 10 raised to minus 2 meter. 10 raised to minus 2 meter. Okay, that becomes the radius of tiny drop. Oh, 10 raised to minus 4 meter. 10 raised to minus 4 meter. Right? Now we got this. Now, what is the work done in breaking that is required? So, work done in breaking can be calculated as work done in changing the area. So, area of the large drop is 4 pi r square. Spherical surface area is 4 pi r square. Then what will be the area of 1000 drops? So that becomes final area. So final area of 1000 drops minus initial area of one large drop gives us change in area. So the energy required per unit area we know. Surface tension. Energy required per unit area is 72 into 10 raised to minus 3 Newton per meter. Therefore, energy required for this change in the area. So when it is divided into 1000 tiny drops, obviously the area of 1000 tiny drops will be larger than the area of one large drop, definitely. So how much work is required to be done in order to bring this change in area? So that can be calculated as work done per unit area into change in area, increase in area. That gives us the result. Now we write. First we calculate change in area. Change in area is calculated as final area of 1000 drops final surface area of 1000 drops minus initial area of large single drop. Initial area of large single drop. So this gives us change in area. So this change in area I am writing it as delta A. Delta A is equal to what is final area of 1000 drops? So I write it as 1000 times area of each tiny drop 4 pi small r square 4 pi small r square minus surface area of large drop 4 pi capital R square. Now we can calculate the change in area. So if you take out 4 pi common, it becomes 1000 r square minus capital R square. So this gives us change in area. Change in area. We can call this as equation number 1. This we can call it as equation number 2. That is small radius is equal to 10 raised to minus 4 meter and change in area is equal to this value. Now we will calculate what is the work done in breaking the water drops as energy per unit area into this change in area. Therefore, work done in breaking large drop into 1000 tiny droplets W is equal to yes is the surface tension, surface energy per unit area into changing area per unit area. This is the value 73 into 10 raised to minus 3 into changing area. Changing area is this way 4 pi into 1000 r square minus capital R square. Now you can substitute the values and simplify. You will get the result. 73 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into 4 into 22 by 7 into 1000 into r square. R is 10 raised to minus 4. 10 raised to minus 4. 10 raised to minus 4 square minus. What is capital R? It is given. Capital R is 1 millimeter. 1 millimeter. Capital R is 1 millimeter. So 10 raised to minus 3 whole square. Now you can calculate. Here 10 raised to minus 8. 10 raised to minus 8 into 10 raised to 3. It becomes 10 raised to minus 5. 10 raised to minus 8 into 10 raised to 3. So it becomes 10 raised to minus 8 plus 3. Minus 8 plus 3 becomes 10 raised to minus 5. Minus 10 raised to minus 6. Now you can take out 10 raised to minus 5 common. So 73 into 4 into 22 by 7 into 10 raised to minus 3. 10 raised to minus 3 into 10 raised to minus 5. You are left with 1 minus 10 raised to minus 1. 10 raised to minus 1 is 1 upon 10. So it becomes 9 by 10. So therefore you are left with 73 into 22 fours are 88. 22 fours are 88 by 7 into 10 raised to minus 8. 10 raised to minus 3, 10 raised to minus 5 becomes 10 raised to minus 8 into 10 minus 1, 9 by 10. 9 by 10. So simplify this. This gives us the result. So if you calculate this, this becomes 10 raised to minus 8. 10 raised to minus 8 and this becomes 10 raised to minus 7. So if you work it out, it comes out to be 8.14 into 10 raised to minus 6 joules. So much of energy is required in order to break a large drop into 1000 tiny drops. A large drop of 1 millimeter into 1000 tiny drops of 0.1 millimeter. The question may be reversed. The same question I am giving you in the reverse order. Surface tension of water is say, you can try this. Surface tension of water is 72. Okay, I have taken 73. It is 72. Okay, you can take 72. There is no problem. I don't know how I have taken. Okay, you take that 73. 73 into 10 raised to minus 3. Take same value. 73 into 10 raised to minus 3 Newton per meter as surface tension. Question is reversed now. If 1000 tiny drops of water, if 1000 identical tiny drops of water of each 0.1 millimeter coalesce means combine to form one large drop, how much is the energy evolved? How much is the energy evolved? Take the same question in reverse order. Same question can be asked in reverse order. Again, once again I am saying, if 1000 tiny drops of identical size each having radius 0.1 millimeter coalesce means club club together to form one large block. How much is the energy evolved? How much is the energy released? In that situation, same answer will be there, but the energy evolved will be negative. Energy evolved will be negative. I think you can calculate that. Same question. Okay. Okay. I think you will be able to do this. Just a similar problem. I am giving this problem to solve it yourself. Try yourself. What is the work done in breaking a water drop of radius 2 mm? Now this is a water drop of radius 2 mm of surface tension, let us say simple, 0.072 Newton per meter. 0.07, okay, let us say simple, 0.07 Newton per meter. Now it is divided into 64 drops. Same procedure. I think you will be able to do this. So such type of problems are frequently asked in the annual examinations. Okay, I think you will be able to do this. Now there are some conceptual problems. When two ships or two boats are moving on water surface, they never move close to each other. Do you know why? If the ships move in the same direction, let us say, when the ships are moving on the water surface, or when two boats are moving on water surface in the same direction, if they move very close to each other, then they get attracted and they collide with each other. Why? Why does two ships do not move very close to each other in the ocean or on the water surface? Why do two ships do not move close to each other in the same direction on the water surface? The reason is, when the ships are moving, let us say these are the ships or boats moving very close to each other in the same direction, then what happens to the streamlines of water? The streamlines of water will flow in this way. The water which is moving in between will have higher speed than the water which is moving outside the ships, than the water moving outside the ships. So here if you take it as V2 and if you take this velocity of the water streamlines as V1, V2 is greater than V1. When V2 is greater than V1, then what happens? Pressure, if you take here as P2, P2 is the pressure and here P1 is the pressure. Let us say P1 is the pressure. Then P2 suddenly drops. P2 becomes less than P1. When there is a drop in pressure, then what happens? This external pressure will push these ships. This is the external pressure P1 and P1 push these ships inwards because of drop in pressure. As a result, these ships collide and they will get damaged. This is why whenever there are two ships or two boats moving on water surface in the same direction, they will not move close to each other. There will be some distance between them. Same thing happens for a railway. The passengers are advised not to stand very close to the platform when the train is moving in the station. When the train is approaching or when a train is moving in the railway station on its track, passengers are not advised to stand close to the train. There is a reason again. When a train moves, suppose this is a moving train. in this direction, right? Then you will find the streamlines of air, the streamlines of air surrounding it. Now the streamlines of air very close to the train, means surrounding the train, very close to the vicinity of train, are very much closer. The crowding of streamlines is very much more close to the surrounding the train than the streamlines which are far. That makes a drop in pressure here. There is a drop in pressure than the pressure outside. Due to the streamlines of air rushing around the train, when the train is moving, the streamlines are rushing, the speed of these rushing streamlines of air will be much greater. V2 will be very much greater than V1. If it is V2 here, it will be very much greater than V1. When V2 is greater than V1, then what happens? There is a drop in pressure. P2 becomes less than P1. When there is a drop in pressure, then there will be a push from back. The person who is standing there will not be experiencing, he will not be coming to know what is happening. Suddenly he will be pushed inwards and he is going to fall into the track. So again, this is due to the what is known as kind of difference in pressure. This is explained based on Bernoulli's principle. Bernoulli's principle. Whenever there is a difference in velocities, for the movement of fluid, then a pressure difference is created, P2 minus P1. P2 minus P1, you know, P1 minus P2, or whatever you call P1 minus P2, plus half into rho V2 square minus V1 square. V2 square minus V1 square, this remains constant. As a result, there is a drop in pressure. When there is a drop in pressure, so as a result what happens? The person will be pushed inwards and he will be falling into the track. He will not be aware of what is happening. Suddenly he experiences as if there is a kick behind from him and he is going to fall inside. So these are the conceptual problems that everybody has to understand. This is the consequence of the Bernoulli's principle, that is pressure difference, consequence of pressure difference as a result of velocity difference of the streamlines. Okay, in the next video I will cover one more important principle, that is Archimedes principle, which I did not cover. Only I have given you statement of Archimedes principle. We will discuss what is Archimedes principle and we will solve some simple one or two problems, because the Archimedes principle is very, very important as far as the UPSC exams are concerned, as far as CET exams are concerned, NEET exam as well as JEE. In all these competitive exams, Archimedes principle, there will be a definite question. Not only that, whenever you go for any interview, SSB also, you will find some questions on Archimedes principle and some questions on Bernoulli's principle. Okay, that I will cover in the next video. Thank you. Have a nice day.